Hi everyone, so I have another quick card for you made focusing on the designer series paper from the Expressions in Ink suite. Now this paper's beautiful. If you go to the Stampin' Up playlist here on my YouTube channel and just look for all the cards I've been making recently, and there will be several now, maybe up to about maybe 5 or 6 cards, or I will be by the time this little mini series finishes. I will try and remember to put an information card at the end of this video with a link to that playlist. But the cards are beautiful. They're all 12 by 12. They're all double-sided. One side of every sheet has got gold running through it one way or another, and the other side are, you know, like flat colours. So in today's card, I'm going to be using this one. So it's got this muted green on one side, and then on the other side, it's got this kind of oil on water effect that runs through the middle of the 6 by 6 piece of card, and it's got gold. And I thought I would try and make a card with this today. I've not made it. I've cut all the components, and I'm going to assemble the card with you today. Now, on the back of all our paper packs, it tells you what colours are in the card, in the designer series paper, and what will go with it. And in this particular designer series paper, there's lots of pinks and pale papaya, and there are lots of greens. In fact, there are 5 shades of green. So there's Evening Evergreen, which is one of our new colours for this year, 2021 through to 2023. There's Just Jade, which I think was one of last year's in colours. There is Mint Macaron, which is a basic colour that we have in our colour family all the time. There's Pear Pizzazz, which is another one of our regular greens in our colour family. And this Shaded Spruce. So there are 5 shades of green in this paper pack. The one that I chose to use was the Evening Evergreen, the dark green, which I think personally works best with this particular piece of designer series paper I've chosen, but you may prefer one of the others. So I'll tell you what I've done, because I've prepared all the elements already. I've cut a piece of the Evening Evergreen, which I've cut at 4 1/8 by 5 7/8. So 4 1/8 is basically half a piece of our UK A4 card, because our card is 8 1/4. So cut straight down the middle and then made at 5 7/8. I've got a piece of the designer series paper that you can see here. Obviously this was 12 inches wide. I've chopped it down, so I think I chopped it to 11 3/4. Then I've scored and folded it. And this is going to sit, hopefully, flush on this piece of Evening Evergreen, just with a little tiny bit showing on either side, but it will cover the whole length. And this is just hopefully going to give my card a bit more stability when I come to stand it, because obviously designer series paper, you know, can only be fairly lightweight. Then I've cut a piece of basic white, and this has been cut at 3 5/8 by 5 1/2. And this is going to go on the inside, so you have somewhere to write or stamp another greeting. And again, it will make the card a little bit more stable. That's what I'm hoping. Then from Evening Evergreen, from the Stitched So Sweetly Dies, I've cut this biggish shape here in Evening Evergreen, and then the next shape down in basic white, and they're going to nest together on the front of the card. I've cut a strip that's about probably 1/2 inch or just over by 6 inches of our gold metallic paper, which is from the Gold and Rose Gold 6 by 6 metallic paper. I'd already previously stamped and cut these flowers from the accompanying artistically inked stamp set for a previous card and never used them, so I'm going to use those. And then just from the in bloomed dies, I've cut some of the little leaves again in the metallic gold paper. I've not actually got the dies that go with this artistically inked stamp set or the Expressions in Ink suite. So that is what I'm planning to use. So the first thing I'm going to do is bring in the stamp, and using Soft Succulent, which is another in colour this year, I'm going to ink up the flower, and I'm just going to stamp the flower just in the bottom right hand corner, just to add a little bit of interest for when you look inside. I'm going to now stick that inside here. So I'm just going to add some seal on the back and position this just inside. And like I said, this just gives you somewhere to add another greeting if you want to. It gives you somewhere to write on the front, you know, on the inside of your card. Now this is going to stick on here. I'm going to use wet glue because it's going to give me a little bit of wiggle room so that I can position this. Let's just make sure I've got the right side. So I'm going to apply some of the Tombow glue all over here, and then I'm going to line this up with the top edge and centralize it as best I can and stick it down. And like I say, because I'm using the Tombow, I have got a little bit of wiggle room. I'm just making sure that I line the designer series paper up with the top edge of this piece of green card, and that's going to help my card stand a little bit better, and then when you open it up you've got the inside. So now I'm going to position this across the front of the card. So do I want it to go completely across? Yeah, I'm going to cut this down. So that's going to stick across here where there's some like white space. So I'm going to open this up and stick this down. So I'm going to pop this down here, and I'm going to turn it over and trim that little piece off. And just bring in my bone folder to burnish that down. So that's my little gold piece. Then this is going to go on here, and this is going to go on here. And then I'm going to bring in my flowers, and then I've got my leaves. And then I could stamp my greeting on here if I want. So in the stamp set, you've got thanks, happy birthday, hello, and best wishes. I think I will use hello. So I'll just clean off that stamp and put that back in the case. And I'll just use the same block, and I'll use the Evening Evergreen, which is the darker of the greens, and I'll just stamp this kind of over to one side. Just bring in my chamois and clean off that stamp, then I can put it away out of the way. So let's see, I'm going to layer these two together. So that's going to sit in the middle of there, like so. This one's going to get popped up, and I'm getting to the end of my dimensionals, so I'm just going to cut around all the edges, and then I can use all these edge pieces on the back of here. bringing my little box that I keep on my desk for putting all the backs of my dimensionals in, and then they don't get all over my clothes or all over the floor everywhere. So that's going to go over there. Then these, as I say, I'd already stamped for an earlier card. So I'm going to pop these up. These have already got dimensionals on them. So I'll pop those like so. And then I've got the leaves that I've already die cut. And these, you know, can get tucked in here with a little bit of glue. So I'll use wet glue, and I can just pop a little bit of wet glue on the bottom and just tuck these in behind and just hold that down for a few minutes for it to grab. And then let's see, so I don't want to cover up the word, so I'll pop that one in there. And I hope that you've liked this designer series paper little mini series, because, you know, we all buy these papers and we tend to hoard them and not use them, and I think they deserve to be used. Let's just see if I can pop that one in there as well. So that's why I've been concentrating on trying to use the designer series papers in each one of the cards that I have made recently. Yes, I've used, you know, stamp sets as well, and I've used dies, but on every single card there is designer series paper. On some cards it's more prominent than on others. On one card I only used a tiny little piece, but I still use the designer series paper. So let me just clear my desk. So here is another card. So you've got the designer series paper showing in the background with some stamped elements and some die cut elements. And then when you open, you've got this pattern inside. You've got a place where you can add another greeting or just write, you know, your sentiment or a little note or whatever. And then a little bit of stamping at the bottom to tie in with what's on the front. And as I say, because you've added those extra elements, your card will stand. So that's another project made using the Expressions in Ink suite. I hope you like it. Please give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.